Before we start, please hear a message from International News Today Network. Starting today, for every subscriber, International News Today Network will plant one tree to save our planet. Please help contribute in saving our planet by subscribing to our channel. One subscriber equals one tree. Thanks.
They say all is fair in love and war, and it seems Kiev agrees. Its army has been losing territory, weaponry and personnel in Russia's special military operation, to the great disappointment and surprise of Ukraine's Western partners, whose support and financing have been enormous. So, Ukraine has been trying alternative ways to reinvigorate its army and provoke treason in the enemy camp. They put a price tag on every Russian combat piece handed over to the Ukrainian side by the Russian military. Kiev was generous, hundreds of thousands of dollars for different types of weapons. Warplanes fetched the highest reward, $1 million. But when there were no volunteers, Kiev took the initiative itself. For months, the Ukrainian military intelligence services have been trying to contact a number of Russian combat pilots. Why? To persuade them to steal Russian fighter jets and land them in Ukraine.
For us, the most important goal of this event is a piece of military hardware and a person who has defected to our side.
We've explained to you that our goal is an airplane. You understand this perfectly well, and we are ready to pay for it. It's written on our parliamentary website that we will officially pay $1 million for such things, and we can negotiate with you or another million. I guarantee you.
By these actions, I had to show my negative attitude towards the leadership of the country and motivate the flight crew to betray the motherland. Initially, of course, I took it as a joke, but after a period of talking, it became clear that I was dealing with representatives of the Ukrainian intelligence service and their Western partners. Also, it was proposed to get passports of European states. A comfortable life abroad was promised, but we all understood that this was impossible, and we had no friends among them.
The Ukrainian side thought they were talking to pilots. What they didn't know was that the Russian FSB was aware of the operation and was monitoring all communications.
How did they find and contact Russian pilots?
Ukrainian intelligence can obtain information about Russian servicemen from the internet. Photos in uniform with military equipment in the background, some comments on professional topics are their reason to turn to the user. They act in a sophisticated way. They present themselves as foreign journalists, analysts, and recently don't even hesitate to speak on behalf of the Russian media and state bodies. We see this activity and take appropriate measures.
In most cases, people from Kiev introduced themselves as, well, as who they were, Ukrainian intelligence. To earn the Russian pilots' trust, they acted unprofessionally, exposed their identity, their whereabouts, and also shared some strategic confidential information.
They believed so much in the possibility of organising a hijacking that they revealed the layout of air defence systems, altitude maps and lots of other useful information to us. This information was taken into account by our armed forces in the course of the military operation, especially while using high-precision weapons.
There was a professional pilot taking part in negotiations from Kiev's side too. With his Russian colleagues, he discussed technical details of the flight and safe corridors, including precise maps and schemes.
I gave you a route so that you would fly outside populated areas because there are a lot of manpads there and it will be difficult to warn them. The system we have is fine. We can give a command so that the air defenses don't work. It is 100% possible. And I wrote to you about manpads. We will give commands for brigades to ban shooting at targets for 1 hour in one direction and the other.
That's when Russia's security forces discovered they were dealing with specialists with exclusive access.
We will make 3 entry points for you. One in the Kharkiv area. The other one remains the same as before, and we will make one south of Donetsk. When you cross our border, the contact line, your call sign will be 730. You say, 730 warm C+, and we will know it is you and will track you.
But Kiev needed guarantees too, to ensure that the Russian pilots were real and actually had access to the jets that Kiev wanted them to steal. The Ukrainian side asked for a video next to specific airplanes. Their numbers agreed in advance. Just for the video proof alone, Ukraine shelled out $4,000 to $7,000. Then the question of how to pay the pilots emerged. After all, Western sanctions affected bank transactions between the two countries. So it was decided that cash would be handed over to the Russians through delivery men and women. These sisters from Moscow are the last links in a long chain. They arrived in a Russian town, took the money from their contact and gave it to the pilot, who secretly filmed the moment. Later, Russian security forces detained the person who had allegedly recruited the girls. And this is when an interesting piece of the puzzle emerged. The man claimed he got the order from the notorious Hristo Groziev, a Bulgarian journalist, head of the Bellingcat investigative news outlet, known for its close ties to the British intelligence service MI6.
Groziev told me, well, he didn't actually explain anything to me. He just told me the name of the courier who would deliver the money by train. I'm overwhelmed with emotions. I'm furious with Hristo Groziev. I trusted him as a man who would never betray me. I would never have thought there would be such a dark deal there.
So it seemingly transpired that Groziev's ties with Western intelligence agencies go far beyond just using their data and sources for his investigative journalism. In fact, it looks like he is a vital part of a secret operation led by Ukrainian intelligence, and not just Ukrainian.
Is there a feeling that Ukraine was not the only one behind this operation?
Obviously, the operation itself was carried out with the support of Western and primarily British intelligence services. We know about Groziev's involvement in MI6 not only from his statements. In general, Ukrainian intelligence has recently ceased to hide its ties with the intelligence services of NATO countries, trying to take a place closer to their masters in Washington and London.
The long shadow of Kiev's European partners was felt all throughout the months-long communications.
Why are we doing this? So that next time guys like you could come to us and fulfill the same mission. It's only possible if you confirm that everything is okay, that you came and received the reward you were promised by our government. This amount of money is not much for our government, plus our European partners would agree to this.
The European partners were aware of another condition of the deal. Apart from money, Kiev also promised pilots and their families citizenship in a European country. 2 passports were even issued, one Slovakian and one Romanian. The Ukrainian intelligence, in cooperation with its allies in Europe, prepared the documents for the pilots' wives in advance as a guarantee.
Ukraine promised safety not only for Russian pilots, but for their families too. Can one trust them?
Here it should be understood that as soon as the members of the Russian pilot's family leave Russia, they immediately become hostages in the hands of Ukrainian intelligence services. Methods of blackmail, threats, and pressure on relatives have long ago become an integral part of the activities of Ukrainian intelligence. There are no moral or ethical restrictions for them. They would simply kidnap them.
The fate of another potential participant in the operation was also vague. In any crew flying bombers, there are several people, and the Ukrainian side was especially interested in the Su-34 and Tu-22. But what to do with the navigator? Kiev had a solution.
As a pilot, I was asked to knock out my co-pilot, and what would happen to him after that is not clear, even if he would have been kept alive.
As for the navigator, we are currently working on the question of medication, because there are other options besides cloflin. You need to know exactly when the pilot drinks coffee before he gets in the plane. There are medicines that kick in 30 to 40 minutes, so it is very important to calculate the time correctly.
The effects of the medication may change due to the caffeine, so it would be better to drink some water after the coffee.
The drug Kiev proposed is hard to come by in Russia. The Ukrainian side offered to provide the pilots with a medicine to drug their navigators. Their contacts left the bag in a secret place outside a town in southern Russia. During a special operation led by Russia's security services, the package was discovered. Ukraine claimed the navigator would be safe. but it wasn't forthcoming on the details of how that would be achieved.
I have nothing against him. He's become a hostage of the situation, so he'll be safe, of course. On our territory, we'll exchange him as a prisoner of war. It is a matter of time, between 1 week and a few months.
Then, with the Ukrainian side still believing that the operation was a success and expecting the Russian jets to land on their airfields, Russian security forces made the whole scheme public, as if to say that the game was officially up.